Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Chef Vic Cuisine. Today, I have a special treat for you all in celebration of the upcoming Matrix Resurrections film. Now, I've been a lifelong fan of the Matrix series, and today I wanted to create a dessert to honor that. So, we're gonna make either a red pill or a blue pill macaron. And now in this case, no matter which one you choose, you're gonna end up loving them. So, let's have some fun with it.
Alright, so for the ingredients, we're going to start with the cookies, and we're going to need a double batch of these ingredients to create both the red and blue macarons. And for the first 5 ingredients, you're going to need double portions separated, starting with 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1.5 cups of almond flour, 3 large eggs that we're going to use the egg whites of at room temperature, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar, and then 1 teaspoon of red food coloring for the first batch, and 1 teaspoon of blue food coloring for the second batch. Then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of almond extract, and 1 teaspoon of birthday cake extract. For the buttercream, we're going to need 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar, 3 tablespoons of water, 5 egg yolks, 1 cup of unsalted butter softened to room temperature, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and a large pinch of salt. And optionally, you can use food coloring for your buttercream as well, but I'm going to keep mine white for this recipe. Alright, so to get things started, we're going to create our red macarons first. And the first step is to sift the powdered sugar and almond flour together into a large bowl. And actually in this video, I'm going to run an experiment to show you the differences between roughly sifted versus a fine sift process. So for the red macarons, I'm only going to sift the powdered sugar and almond flour twice, but for the blue macarons, I'm going to sift it 3 times. Now in either case, once you have them sifted, you want to whisk them again until they're well combined. Now in a separate large bowl of a stand mixer, you want to add in your egg whites. And you want to whisk the egg whites on medium speed until they get foamy. And once they start to foam, you want to add in your cream of tartar. That stabilizes the egg whites while you whip it, so you have a nice strong meringue. So now you want to whisk the egg whites and the cream of tartar on high speed and slowly add in your granulated white sugar while it's whisking. And if you've been part of the Chef Vic family for a while, you know the deal. This is the perfect time to start whisking in that like button as well. It really helps the channel grow to reach more people, and feel free to subscribe to this channel to see more recipes like this one. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. And so once you add all the sugar, now's the point where you want to add your 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then for the red macarons, we're going to use 1 teaspoon of almond extract. So add that to the bowl as well. Now we're going to add the red food coloring to the bowl and allow that to whisk in to change the color of this meringue to a bright red. And red food coloring can be tricky sometimes, so you might need to add more than 1 teaspoon of red food coloring because sometimes it'll just turn pink and not a dark red. But just want to continue to beat this meringue on high speed until stiff peaks form in the cream. And you should be able to lift the cream with your whisk and have it not fall or move when you shake it. So this is the type of consistency that you're looking for out of your meringue. So now you want to begin folding in 1/3 portion of the combined almond flour and powdered sugar to the meringue. And make sure you're gently folding this, as you don't want the meringue to deflate. And you want to fold in the other portions of the flour and sugar gently into the meringue once each portion before it has been folded and incorporated prior to the next addition. And the final mixture should look like lava and be able to fall into a figure 8 without losing its shape. And so if you look at the texture of this batter, because we only sifted it twice, you can still see some minor graininess in the batter, and we'll see how it changes when we make the blue macarons. So now all you have to do is place the batter into a piping bag with a round piping tip. Now I've bought a macaron template to help ensure that each macaron is the same size, and although it is a silicone baking sheet, what I like to do is spray it with a non-sticking spray and place parchment paper on top of it so I can still see the pattern, but the macarons will cook on the parchment paper and not the baking sheet. In my experience, macarons are more easily peeled away from parchment paper as opposed to a silicone baking sheet, but feel free to experiment with that on your own. So you want to pipe 1 to 1.5 inch size dollops of the batter onto the baking sheet, lined with parchment paper. Once all your macaroon wafers are formed, you want to take the pan and tap it on a flat surface several times to release any hidden or visible air bubbles once you have placed all the dollops. And now you just want to allow the dollops to sit at room temperature for 40 minutes before placing them in the oven. This allows a skin to form on the top side of the macaron, and it's necessary prior to baking. So while we let the red macarons set, now we can move on to making our blue macarons. So it's going to be the same process as the red, only this time we sifted the powdered sugar and the flour together 3 times instead of 2. So this is really finely sifted, and we'll see how it changes the final result. But we're taking our egg whites again and whisking them until they're foamy. Then we're going to add our cream of tartar and then whisk them on high speed, gradually adding in our white sugar. And then for our blue macarons, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract as well as 1 teaspoon of birthday cake extract. Following that, we're going to add in our 1 teaspoon of blue food coloring and then continue to whisk this meringue on high speed until stiff peaks form. So once again, you're aiming for this type of consistency from the meringue. Now you can always give this a taste test too to see how your macarons are going to end up tasting like. It's so delicious, so fight the urge to eat the meringue by itself. So just like last time, we're going to fold in a 3rd portion of our combined almond flour and powdered sugar mix, making sure not to add the next portion until the previous portions have been folded and fully incorporated. And I hope you're able to tell in this video, but this batter is much smoother than the last one, and it flows more smoothly as well. So I can't wait to find out how these macarons turn out in comparison to our red ones. You want to add this batter to another piping bag fitted with a round piping tip as well. And we're going to use the same technique as we did with the red macarons, piping 1 to 1.5 inch size dollops of batter onto our baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Once again, once all your dollops are formed, you want to take this sheet and drop it onto a flat surface a couple of times to release all that trapped air that may be within your macaron wafers. And it's really important to do this, as when they bake, that trapped air will expand and crack the macaron shell. So you don't want that to happen. So we're going to allow these blue macaron shells to rest at room temperature for another 40 minutes before placing them in the oven. And just to show you what they're going to look like after 40 minutes, you can see that they have a slight skin on the outer shell on each macaron wafer. So you want to bake both the red and blue macarons at 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 149 degrees Celsius for 12 to 14 minutes. And you want to rotate the tray so that the front of the tray is facing the back of the oven after 6 to 7 minutes. And after the total baking time is done, you want to remove the pans from the oven and allow the macaron shells to cool completely before removing them from the baking sheet. And I can't stress enough that they have to be completely cool before trying to peel them away from the parchment paper. If they're still warm, part of the shell will still cling to the parchment paper and ruin that said macaron. So just be patient and allow them to cool completely at room temperature. And so while they're cooling, we can create our buttercream. So we want to take our 5 egg yolks and put them into a stand mixer bowl fitted with a whisk attachment. And you want to beat the egg yolks until they're thick and foamy. Now in a medium-sized saucepan, we want to combine our sugar and the water. And you want to heat this over low heat while whisking until the sugar dissolves. Once all the sugar is dissolved, you can increase the heat to medium-high, or about 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius, and bring this mix to a boil. And you want to heat the sugar and the water syrup until it reaches 240 degrees Fahrenheit or 115 degrees Celsius. And if you don't have a thermometer, what you're looking for is a rapid boil like you see in the video here. Once it gets to this state, you want to immediately remove it from the heat. And while your stand mixer is still running, slowly pour the hot syrup into the bowl with the foamy yolks. Continue mixing all of these ingredients together until the bottom of the bowl is cool to the touch, and the yolk mixture has cooled to room temperature. It's at this stage where we can add in our softened, unsalted butter, half a tablespoon at a time, allowing each piece of butter to fully incorporate before adding the next. Once you've added all the butter, now we can add in our vanilla extract and our pinch of salt. Continue mixing until this buttercream is smooth and creamy, and this should take about 5 to 6 minutes. And now if you wanted, it would be at this stage where you would add the food coloring of choice if you desired. And so now you want to place this buttercream into a large piping bag with a round tip. And this recipe makes enough buttercream to fill both the red and the blue macarons. So now that our macarons have fully cooled down to room temperature, see how easy it is for them to peel right off the parchment paper. And that's what we're looking for our macaron shells. And the same can be said with our red ones, as you can see here. So now all you need to do is pipe your filling onto the back of half of the shells. And you don't need much filling for each macaron cookie, as you'll squeeze the 2 shells together and it'll fill out the empty space. So all you need to do is form a sandwich with the plain macaron shell and repeat. And so you're going to be able to make plenty of blue macarons as well as red macarons, so feel free to mix it up and sometimes use both a blue and a red shell too. I feel like the flavors of an almond and birthday cake mix are really delicious together, so give that a try. And macarons should be refrigerated for 1 to 2 days for the best results. It allows the filling inside to soften the shells within. And once you're ready to eat them, I like to take them out of the fridge and let them warm up a little bit to closer to room temperature, and then you're ready for your first bite. So now back to our experiment with sifting the flour and the powdered sugar. The final result of the red macaron is that the shell has a slightly more grainy appearance in comparison to the blue. But once we take a bite out of it, you can see that it is still just as soft as we want it to be, and the flavor is delicious. Likewise with the blue macaron, you have a smooth outer shell, but once you bite into it, you have that crack of the very outer part of the macaron that we're looking for, but the inside is soft and delicious. And we can almost pull an allegory to the way these macarons turned out versus the Matrix Resurrections film, where our blue macaron is the blue pill, which allows you to live in this more idealistic world, where the red pill leads you to a more harsh, grainy reality. But like I said in the beginning of this video, either way you choose, in this case with these macarons, you're going to enjoy each and every one. And so just like that, you've made macarons all by yourself right at home. If you want to feel fancy and create a light and airy dessert, please give this macaron recipe a try. And as always, this recipe and many more can be found in my cookbook, Chef Vic Cuisine Volume 1, Finding Your Inner Chef. And that's available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to leave a link to that in the description box. And feel free to click the link that pops up on the screen for more information as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this recipe, make sure to smash that like button for me. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to see more recipes like this one, hit subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. Well, thanks again. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time on another episode of Chef Vic Cuisine. And until then, peace.